Hello, for today's video, we're going to go over the bridge pattern. The bridge pattern is meant to decouple an abstraction from its implementation so both can vary independently. We're going to start by thinking of a notification system. In this notification system, we will start with email notifications, expanding out maybe to text, expanding out to maybe a toast pop-up on the window. So through this, we already have many multiple types. If we keep adding on and expanding and wanting to add also a modal dialogue, we're going to have all of these different combinations. We can have email as a toast, email as a modal, text as a toast, text as a modal. There's 4 classes, and that's when we have these 2 types and 2 display styles. We add on a push notification channel or a banner display style. We're constantly adding different types, different channels. We're maintaining multiple classes, which we're basically just having 2 independent decisions. And this is kind of what the bridge pattern will try and solve. If we look closer at that example of the notification system, we're looking at having all of these different classes and combinations without the bridge. We'd have to have one class on how we can send the notification and one class on how to display it. We'll have email toast notification, email modal notification, SMS toast notification, SMS modal notification. If we look at this, we have 2 channels times 2 displays. We'll have 4 classes today. If we add a third channel, let's say something like push notifications, or if we have another display style, maybe, for example, we have an inline banner. We're not only adding one more class, we're multiplying these out. If we think about 2 times 3, we'll have 6, 3 times 3 is 9. We're expanding out to that many classes. Every time you add a new display style, you'll have to go back and add to every single channel subclass. These 2 concerns, how to send and how to show, have nothing to do with each other. But if we look at inheritance, it couples them closely together. The bridge pattern is a gang of 4 structural pattern. And the definition is going back to the idea that it couples an abstraction from its implementation so that the 2 can vary independently. If we want to translate this, we have 2 dimensions that both want to change over time. The bridge will split them into 2 separate hierarchies. They're connected by composition, not inheritance, meaning that we're going to try and use an interface instead of inheriting those traits. In this way, you can add a new item to either side without touching the other. In our demo, we have 2 dimensions that are the notification channel. We'll have something like a simple notification. It's implemented by the email notification and the SMS notification. And the other one that we'll have is display style. So it's notification display. These are implemented by the toast notification display and the modal notification display. They're joined by this notification bridge. Neither hierarchy knows the other exists. In the structural diagram, we have the shape of it. On the left, we'll have the abstraction hierarchy. This is where the sample notification is at the top, with the email notification and SMS notification as concrete refinements. On the right, we have the implementation hierarchy. So we have the notification display at the top with the toast notification display and the modal notification display underneath. And in the middle, we have that bridge, the notification bridge, which holds a reference to one of each. That middle box is the bridge itself. It's the composition link between the 2 hierarchies. It doesn't inherit from either side. It just holds the sample notification and the notification display, and it calls both of them. And that's the entire mechanism. These are all the different parts and participants of this demo in this repo. The sample notification is the abstract interface. It defines the channel property as well as defines a send message method. The notification display is the implementation interface. It defines a single display method, which has the message and the channel and the arguments. On the abstraction side, we have two refined abstractions. We have the email notification, which sends via email and renders a styled send log entry, and the SMS notification, which does the same for the SMS. On the implementation side, we have two concrete implementations. We have a toast notification display, which renders an auto dismissing toast in the corner of the screen, and a modal notification display, which renders a centered modal dialog. And if we tie these all together, we have a notification bridge. It composes exactly one sample notification and one notification display. And its send and display method calls both of these. So we have 7 participants, 2 hierarchies, and 1 bridge. Here we have the sample notification, the abstraction interface, which has 2 members. The channel identifies which notification type this is, and the send method does the actual sending. The channel property is important. It's not just an internal bookkeeping. It gets forwarded across the bridge to the implementation side, so the display can style itself based on which channel sent the message. That's the hook that lets the 2 independent hierarchies still coordinate a little without coupling. Here we have the email notification. It's a little small. If you look at this, this is the concrete refinement email notification. The channel is locked to the email, and the send method here will actually render a style logged entry into the page instead of just console logging it. So the browser demo has something visible to show you. The text message notification is the mirror image of this. It's the same shape. Channel is set to SMS, and it has a different markup. If you notice, this class knows nothing about the toast or the modal. It only cares about just sending that message. Here we have the notification display. The notification display has one method. It takes the channel as the parameter, and this is where the value coming across the bridge gets used. The display doesn't know or care how the message got here. It just needs to know the message text and which channel it came from so it can pick the right icon and accent color. Here we have the concrete implementation of the toast notification display. The channel config that we have is actually the channel awareness in action. The email gets a blue accent. The text message gets a green accent, entirely driven by that channel parameter it received. After this, the real class runs the toast through a request animation frame and a couple of set timeouts, slide in, hold for 3 seconds, slide out, remove itself, and that's the polish you'll see live in the demo in just a minute. The modal notification display follows the exact same lookup and render pattern. It's the same channel config idea, different rendering, a center dialog instead of a corner toast. 2 completely different visual implementations. It's the same interface, same channel-driven styling logic. Here we have the bridge itself. It's the notification bridge. This is the entire pattern in just 9 lines. We have a constructor that takes 1 sample notification and 1 notification display, and that's just the composition. That's the bridge connecting the 2 hierarchies, and the send and display method just calls both independently, forwarding channel from the notification to the display. Neither side is subclass to know about the other. Any sample notification class can pair with any notification display. If we look at the entry point of the index Typescript class, here's where it's all coming together. We have 2 independent selections. you pick a channel, you pick a display style, held in two separate variables typed to the two interfaces. Only when the user clicks send does the client construct a notification bridge from whatever was picked and calls the send and display. The SMS and modal button listeners follow the identical shape, just swapping the concrete class. The client is the only place that knows about the concrete class at all. Everywhere else, it's just interfaces. So if we look at the demo that we have here on the bridge pattern, we're thinking about how we have two different dimensions. These are the two areas that we're trying to combine with each other. In this notification bridge, we are thinking about what is the different types, the ways that we can abstract the message itself. We can expand this out. It could be email, it could be SMS. We also are considering the way that we want to display those different types of messages that we're trying to send as notifications. We have a toast, we have a modal. A toast means that it'll be something that pops up on the browser. A modal will just be a window that kind of comes up on the screen. If we look at something like email with the toast, we'll send it on the side here. You can reset it. If we did a modal, we would just pretend that this is another window that pops up with the sender, receiver, and the subject with the message. And same thing here. We're just having this being quote unquote sent through the toast as well as through the modal. And we can see that this is how we might try and have these two separate but also connected together, as we said before. If we're going to look at the code here, the code on the side, a lot of this at the top are just ways that we can get the specific sections on the page itself. Those are not important. We are going to consider, though, every time we do click the email button or the SMS button first, we're going to create these two notification types. These notification types are created through the sample notification. This is the abstraction that we find first when we want to separate between those two different channels of what that abstraction represents. We have this email, we have this SMS. We're defining this because we will want to use these values, especially when we connect it to the implementation later. The idea is just more importantly understanding that first, when we have this message here, we're going to select the different type of notification. And then after that, we'll choose the way that we'll display it. That means that we'll have the abstraction here and the implementation. We had explained before, the way that we want to do this is we will implement the notification display. This one is just going to have that display method, but it will take an argument from the channel that we found before in the abstraction here that has that specific channel that's being created. Either way, we have the display. When the display method is called, it will have different HTML that will pop up. For both of these, either there will be a separate window or it will be that toast that we have. The rest of this is not super important. Some of this is just methods to help with the modal close. Here is more important because it connects to that send and display. Whatever we have in terms of the values of the notification type and the display type, we create this bridge from the notification bridge. And the notification bridge here is used to first take the implementation that we have from the abstraction. This one will have the method of sending. That's the sample notification here. We had the send that we found up at the top that creates its own separate sort of HTML that we're kind of displaying as well. The second thing we do is we also pass in the implementation, the toast or the modal, into the bridge as well. Once we have both of these, we can use the send and display. In this case, we're first going to send it with that message that we had, which is up here. Send it, then we can display it. If we display it, then we will use the channel that we found here in the notification, simple notification, pass it to the display on the display notification display, and then that will use the channel. Through the channel here, through the channel, once we get the channel, we're able to extract it, and we can have in that display method, we can create different, here, we can create a different type of meta row or body depending on what the channel is. This way, we're able to connect these two things together. Right here. We create that bridge, send and display. So then that will create these different, the email implementation, as well as for here, the modal implementation. Those two things get connected together. And this is just one way to do it. There's other ways that we can connect these two things together, but the biggest idea is that through this bridge, we will want to have those different types of classes, abstractions that we're going to have. They can be independent from each other. They don't need to know from one another, but the way that we have, at least from here, is that we can pass along, in this case, the channel, but other arguments to the display. The biggest importance here is that if we want to expand out more implementations, we could do that. If we wanted to just expand out more extractions, we can do abstractions, we could do that. But through this, there's no tight coupling anywhere. So changing both independently means that we only would have to alter and change on the one side itself, or being able to expand or adjust, and we wouldn't have to worry about the abstraction on that side, any editing or implementation. So through the bridge, we're able to at least have some way we connect both of those together. When we want to use the bridge pattern, we want to use it first when we have two independent dimensions that we both need to worry about it, but we also want them to vary. We don't want to have some kind of combinatorial subclass explosion. We already saw that when we're thinking about all the different combinations that we have with the channels and display styles. We want to have a way that we can separate and make them independent by themselves. The second one is when both hierarchies are genuinely expected to keep growing. If you're going to add new notification channels and new display styles on different schedules, the bridge keeps those additions isolated from each other. And last one is when you want to swap out implementation at runtime. We saw in the demo itself, basically, if we want to have a form or some way we can adjust or alter that, then we can use the bridge pattern to adjust or touch the abstraction rather than just using it. Here we have some examples on when we don't want to use it. The idea is if only one dimension will ever actually vary, you don't need this idea of two hierarchies. Plain interface or strategy is simpler and says what you mean more directly. If the two dimensions you're separating are tightly coupled and won't realistically combine in every permutation, adding this extra indirection isn't earning its keep, or it's not really important, or it just makes it much more complicated itself. If we have a small, stable code base, then adding an abstraction layer on both sides just to avoid a subclass problem you're never going to hit is just a little bit premature. The bridge pays off when you can see that this kind of multiplication, expanding, exploding combination issue is real. Here's some real-world analogies to make this idea much more understandable outside of this notification systems. If you think about remote control in appliances, we have a basic remote or an advanced remote. This is the idea of the abstraction, can control a TV, DVD player, or sound system. This is the idea of the implementation. Any remote works with any appliance because they share a common signal protocol acting as that bridge. If we look at operating systems and storage drivers, file system API is one stable abstraction, but it's implemented differently by the SSD driver, HDD driver, or a network drive driver. The operating system never needs to know which one it's actually talking to. Oh, the operating system never needs to know which one it's actually talking to. So we need to consider that as well. And then the last one is we have the idea of shape rendering. If we're rendering shapes across platforms, we have a shape, a circle, square. It delegates the actual pixel drawing work to some renderer, SVG, Canvas, WebGL. You can add new shapes or new renderers independently, and every single combination just works. Here's some related patterns that we have with the bridge pattern. There's two specific patterns that get confused a lot. We have the adapter pattern. It looks similar structurally. Both use composition instead of inheritance, but the intent is rather different. The adapter is a retrofit. You discover an incompatibility after the fact, and you wrap an existing class to translate its interface. The bridge is designed in from the start. You deliberately split one hierarchy into two before either side has grown large, specifically so both can vary independently going forward. The strategy also swaps. Oh, there's a strategy pattern that also swaps behavior at runtime through composition. And honestly, the UML diagrams can look nearly identical. The difference is intent and shape. The strategy has a single family of interchangeable algorithms plugged into one context. The bridge has two parallel hierarchies. Both the abstraction and the implementation can have their own subclasses. If you ever vary one side, you're looking at strategy. If both sides grow independently, then we have the bridge pattern. In summary, the bridge decouples an abstraction. That's the what to do from the implementation. This is the how to do it, using composition instead of inheritance. So each side can grow independently. In this repo, we have that notification bridge. It composes a sample notification, that's the email or SMS, with a notification display. That was the toast or modal. The send and display calls both. Two classes on each side give four working combinations with no subclass explosion. The trade-off, it adds an extra layer of indirection and two interfaces up front. It's worth it exactly when both dimensions are genuinely expected to vary, not before. Here we have, so that was the bridge pattern. The Gang of Four book covers the structural pattern chapters. We have the full working code in the repo for you to run, check, and modify. You can check out the other patterns in the series. I'm still continuously working on the repos and the videos. I appreciate all the feedback and comments. Some comments on the sound and comments on the videos. So any feedback is great. If this helped, if you can just drop a like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And I hope to see you in the next one.